Hi, my name is Stephanie and welcome to A Light in the Dark. I just wanted to record this quick video. This has been something that the Lord spoke to me in a very tangible way through nature, and that's why I'm out here trying to record this. It's been on my heart for a while to share this. Yeah, I'm out here in my garden, and I'm actually right under the shade of my crabapple tree. When we first moved to this property, it had some fruit trees on it, and I was really happy to find that out. And this crabapple tree was in the garden area where I have a vegetable garden, and it was quite unruly. The branches were pretty overgrown, and it was just kind of overhanging a lot of the garden, and it was hard to work around. It was shading a lot, and just hanging really low, and just kind of an odd shape. And there was a lot of fruit, but a lot of it was just falling off the tree before it was really good, or it was just already bad on the tree before I could pick it. I did get a fair bit of fruit from it that first year, but because it was so unruly, my husband decided to prune it back quite heavily in the fall, and he pruned it back a lot, and it almost looked really funny because of how much he pruned it off. And the following year, it literally did not produce more than like one. I think there was one branch that had some fruit, and I didn't even pick it. I didn't even get anything, a harvest from this tree that year, and that was last year. And it was like it was in shock, and so it couldn't produce fruit for a whole year. It really didn't produce much of anything. And so this year, though, it is so healthy, and it produced all this new growth, but it's more uniform, and it just has a nicer shape than it did before we cut it. And initially after we cut it, it looked quite funny. But now it's got all this new growth, and it looks even and healthy, and it's just bursting with fruit, and it looks really good. It looks really healthy, and I think I'm gonna get a huge crop, more than I can probably pick or do anything with this year. And I just really felt like the Lord was speaking to me through that, because I know for me, I went through a long season of pruning in my own personal life, where I just felt so set back and so just shook from my life circumstances, and just feeling like I was in a long season of recovery and healing. And in that time, I understood what the Lord was doing in my life, and I had a lot of hope, and I could see that the Lord was moving in my life, but I was still in my process and season of healing. And there was a long time there where I felt like I couldn't produce much fruit in my life. And I felt like the Lord was just speaking to me through this, that, to be gracious with ourselves in those seasons of healing. And I don't know, where you're at in your journey, but I do believe this will speak to many people who may find themselves in this season of healing, where maybe the Lord has really stripped you and pruned you back. Maybe even you feel like to nothing, and that nothing in your life that you used to rely upon, the comforts that you used to have, that those things no longer remain, and you're just kind of trying to figure things out and pick up the pieces and trust the Lord with your life in a new way that is very maybe overwhelming and challenging and uncomfortable and painful. And in that season, you feel like, you've rediscovered, your relationship with the Lord through it all, but you just feel like you don't have it in you to give, to produce much fruit, to share your love of Christ, to share, to give of yourself to others. And maybe you even have some guilt about that. I know I went through a season where I did, and even just where I didn't have much patience or much like the fruit of the Spirit. It just felt like it was difficult because you were in your own, like I was in my own season of needing to be nourished, needing to be fed, needing to be healed and replenished, because it was like I was in that season of being in shock, just like the tree where it couldn't produce fruit because it needed to focus on its own healing in that season so that it could come back stronger. And I just want to encourage you that that is the purpose behind the pruning, is to remove the old things that are no longer serving you well and that aren't serving the Lord or your relationship or what He has for you in store for the future. And so He had to remove those things, which was painful. Being cut back, pruned is not, it's painful. And I'm sure if a tree could feel, which we don't know if it can, it would be a very painful process to have all its limbs cut back and trimmed off like that, especially all at once. And you can only imagine how much harder it is for a tree to kind of bounce back from that and just produce fruit right away the next following season. And that's exactly how it is with us, even if we can understand what the Lord is doing and we're beginning that process of healing, and the Lord is even restoring and birthing new things in your life, sometimes it's really hard to pick up and just live a life of servitude towards others just immediately off the bat. And so I just want to encourage you that if that's where you find yourself and you find it hard to give of yourself, because in this season the Lord wants to heal you and give and feed you, I just hope this helps you to be gracious to yourself in that season, to allow yourself to be fed and to not always feel like you need to give of yourself to others. Obviously, if those opportunities present themselves and you're able and the Lord gives you the grace to do that, absolutely you should. But if you feel like you're not doing as much as you should be to serve the Lord, to serve others in this season, be gracious to yourself and know that the purpose of it is because after you go through that season, you'll come back so much stronger and healthier, and you will produce so much fruit, such an abundance, overflowing fruit, and so much healthier and ripe for the picking. And so you will find you'll be able to serve others and give of yourself in a whole new way that you could never have before the pruning. And obviously that you couldn't during the pruning. So I just hope and pray this blesses you. This was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I hope that you could hear me well. And now I will show you a little bit of the tree. And here it is. So you can see there's just an abundance of fruit. I hope you can see that. And maybe I'll even add a picture of the tree to show you how big and beautiful this tree is now. And yeah, I hope you know that the Lord sees you and loves you, and He has so much in store for you, and He just can't wait to show you what He has in store for you, the abundant harvest He has in store. So even if this feels like a dry season and feels like you feel like you've been through a drought, or you feel like you just haven't had it in you, just know that the Lord is producing something amazing in you so that you will have an abundant harvest in the future. So God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.